Yeah, again, I'm really happy and I hope I will stick to the time. So I hurry up at the beginning and probably calm down at the end of my talk. So again, hello everybody. These are my conflicts of interest. And normally I start when I do such kind of presentation. I have to talk about what's new and hot in 2025, and I start 160 years ago, when this disease was first described. And probably you will understand why I start this so far in the past. It was the 8th of November in 1865. It was an Austrian pathologist describing for the first time this disease. And he called this disease in former times and Arteritis pulmonaris deformans. And I don't know if you can see now the whole picture. I'll make it bigger. This is a German. So for the German-speaking audience, you can read this. I tried to translate it in English. And the first idea was he called us endarteritis. This means an inflammation of the vessels. So it is an inflammation. He called it because this term inflammation was used currently often for many diseases. So inflammation played a big role 160 years ago. But he described outgrow of all vessel layers becoming a pseudomembranous connective tissue formation. So he described vasoproliferation 160 years ago. And this proliferation leads to a narrowing of the vessels and the small lumen of the vessels. And this was caused not only by inflammation alone. So he was so clever 160 years ago. And I show you the next picture, if it's working. Why not? Wait a minute. So now I show you the next picture again, just to let you know that this is a disease. It is not vasoconstructive. Yeah, it is not a small vessel. It's vasoproliferation, as you can see. Probably you can see my text, my laser pointer now. It is an obstruction due to a proliferation of all layers of the vessels, and this leads to an upload of the pulmonary vascular resistance and then a right heart failure at the end. So keep in mind, this is the main issue, the main problem of this disease. And you all know there are a couple of treatment options nowadays. And in the last 30 years, we found 3 pathways to address. We had 5 drug groups and 10 approved groups, and you all know these medication. You know the NO pathway with sildenafil and tadalafil and riociguat. You probably know better the prostacyclin pathway with epoprostenol, treprostinil, selexipag, and the endothelium pathway with ambrisentan and macitentan and bosentan. But keep in mind, these are mainly vasodilatative drugs. So they do a vasodilatation and not anti-proliferation. So, and therefore, and the next cartoon, to make it clear, this is a normal vessel here. And due to many signals and many parts, this vessel becomes a stiff proliferative vessel with a small lumen. And there plays a role inflammation, like Professor Julius Klob told us 160 years ago. Fibrosis, inflammation, vasoconstriction, everything. And the main idea nowadays is to bring this vessel back to a normal vessel and reduce the vascular resistance. So I did this picture years ago when we thought about what are further potential therapeutic approaches or options. And I will talk about some of them today. And these are not news from the last 3 months. It goes longer back. But let me start, due to time issues, now with the next picture. Here you see novel pathways option You see again the construction, you see the proliferation. And I start with a story about imatinib. And probably at the end of my talk, you will never forget imatinib, because it's was the first step to an anti-proliferative drug approach in PAH. And this started long time ago. It started with a cancer treatment. Gleevec or imatinib was approved for cancer treatment, for treatment to leukemia or stomach tumors, and it was called, because it was the first anti-proliferative drug in this field, it was called magic bullet of cancer treatment. And I, years ago, asked myself, probably that might be magic bullet of PH treatment. Why? Because the story started in 2005 in Gießen, the Gießen Working Group. I don't know if Adi Gofrani is in the hood now, but Ralf Schermu had these mice, and he induced pulmonary hypertension in mice, as you can see here. Again, the layers in different colors, vessels, normal vessels here on the left side, in the middle, vessels induced pulmonary hypertension, and then imatinib was given, and you see it's gone again. Yeah, it's remodeling. So if this is working in mice, probably it's working in people too. The first publication in humans was this in New England Journal of Medicine. You see here a patient with PAH and combination therapy with iloprost, sildenafil, and in these times, 2005, bosentan. And to guide you through this cartoon, you see here red, the functional class. It was functional class 4, so dyspnea while a little bit of exercise. PVR was, as you can see here, 1,500. In 6-minute walking distance in blue, getting down to 260. And then on the waiting list for transplantation, they start imatinib. And look what happened. 6-minute walking distance, 400, functional class 2, and PVR about 800. So next step was the announcement of the results of the phase 3 clinical trial imatinib in PAH patients. This was the approval trial, and this was announced in 2011 in the ERS, European Respiratory Society Congress in Amsterdam. And have a look at this audience. It was crowded. It was really crowded. Here in front, you see Stefan Rosenkrantz. He was later the first author of the European guidelines. A lot of people, even from the industry here, and so a lot of people waiting for the results. And these results were really first seen in my life. I mean, here, the cardiac output, so what is the heart able to do, was elevated by at least 1 liter per minute. Volume more. Pulmonary pressure was down to 3.5 millimeters Hg, and if you see on the placebo group, it was 5 millimeters in difference. And PVR about 400, so 5 Wood units, something like this, down. So it was effective, but there were side effects. 7 of these people get a subdural hematoma, and therefore this drug was never approved for PAH, but it was effective. And I knew still patients on imatinib after years, still stable. So, and these are really out of the last 3 months from the London working group. I guide you through this picture. This is again imatinib in PAH. Not so many patients, I think 80, something like this. You see here, they start here. Look at the upper front of this picture. This purple one is the pulmonary vascular resistance, so the whiteness of the vessels. You see starting point, then giving the drug, and PVR is going down very nicely. And when you stop, the effect is losing a little bit, but not to the point comparable with the beginning. So it's still an effect there here. And this leads us to the idea doing something like pulse therapy. So you give therapy, imatinib, then you make a drug holiday, and then you give therapy again. And nicely seen here is the activity, I think very important for patients. You see activity level here from the beginning, no imatinib, and then you see nicely that activity is rising and continuing after stopping this medication. So it's an effect over the stopping time. So it's quite nice results. I think imatinib is still a drug to have an eye on. So this is a cartoon. Okay. Next, imatinib is working over a receptor. I don't want to go into details, but it's a receptor. It's called PDGF receptor. And there's another, it's imatinib, and here you see seralutinib. Sounds equal, sounds quite there. It's a second or a third part of these receptors blocked here, and it's a new medicine for PAH. And I show you seralutinib because this is an ongoing clinical trial. Seralutinib is probably nicely to keep in mind. This drug you can inhale by a dry powder inhaler. You don't have to take it by pill, by IV, by sub-Q. You can inhale it like COPD or asthma patients, and it's effective anti-inflammatory, anti-proliferative, anti-fibrotic. So it's a lot of effects. And I show you this because it's an ongoing trial. It's a trial one step further beyond imatinib, nicely inhaled and a lot of targets. And I show you now, I don't show you pictures about the effect on hemodynamics or PVR or something you probably don't understand. I show you pictures, because pictures can tell you a lot more than 1,000 words. Here you see two patients, and you see pictures of the vessels of the lung. On the left side here, you see a placebo patient. You can see female, 24 years old, PD5 prostacyclin, and you see baseline, and then placebo, and you see week 24. And have a look down here where my pointer is. This is from the beginning, and now switch to here. And probably you can see in 24 weeks there are a loss of vessels. Yeah. And now look on seralutinib patients, starting here, and then a step forward, week 24, and compare these pictures, and you can nicely see that everywhere are more vessels. And this is countable. If you look on PVR, this is plus 280, this is minus 160. So even the PVR is getting down because there are more vessels. The lumen is bigger. So ongoing trial all over the world, and I really try to tell you these are, and now we go one step forward in the time issue. Probably the majority of you, and I think all of you, know the first in-class anti-proliferative drug. So it's sotatercept, and the rest of the meeting we will talk about sotatercept. And sotatercept is the first approved drug with clearly anti-proliferative effects. And this is the mode of action here. I don't want to go into detail, but there is an anti-proliferation and proliferation part in all our cells and vessels. And if one part is blocked by probably a gene mutation like BMPR2 mutation, then the other one is giving the leading role, and therefore it's a lot more proliferation than anti-proliferation, and the vessels are growing, and therefore sotatercept can, by catching activins, block this receptor or block the activins, and the receptor is not loaded, and therefore anti-proliferation or proliferation is going down, and anti-proliferation can go up again. So this is idea, and it's working. It's clearly working. Yeah, it's clearly working. If you look here at the Stella trial, it's clearly working 6 million walking distance better. And I think this one is quite impressive if you look on patients, total number of patients who died or had one clinical worsening event, so have to go to hospital or right heart failure. You see in the sotatercept group, only 9 patients achieved this and 42 in the placebo group. So this is a clear benefit for patients when taking this drug versus placebo. So this leads to one of the biggest pharma deals ever in the world. Acceleron was the company who designed this new drug, and it was bought by Merck for $11.5 billion. So this is a huge deal, and you can look here. They think about 7.5 billion market in 2026 for this drug. So you all know this drug probably, and you all know there's a hype about this drug, and it's a good drug. Honestly, it's clear it's good, but it's not the end of our treatment ideas. It's not the end of anti-proliferative treatment. It's one big step to this goal. And probably you all know this. I had this out of CNN Health, yeah, a miracle. FDA approves a new drug that may help stop a rare fatal condition that doctors call a ticking time bomb. I know a lot of things are a ticking time bomb, and you probably know, I don't know this young lady, but here she was severely ill, and here she is fit again after taking sotatercept. We know some of these patients who are super responders, yeah, but I will end up this talk by telling you, yes, sotatercept is a good drug. Definitely. Had a lot of benefits here, increasing functional capacity, improving functional class, decreasing mean PUP and PVR, reduce the risks of clinical worsening events, and so on and so on. But there are adverse events, as in any drug. Yeah, there are quite a lot of bleeding events we see in our clinic as well. And the main part, the main thing that I try to let you remember is that there are keys unknown. So long-term efficacy and safety is not clear yet. Yeah. And there might be antibodies developing, so we don't know what it's doing to the infirmity and the fatal harm. So I just want to let you know that this is a good drug, but keep in mind the fight against pulmonary hypertension is not over yet. Yeah, and this is the goal: cure PH. And therefore, we need science, we need clinical trials, we need open mind, we need to go on. Yeah, because sotatercept is the first antiproliferative therapy. It's a good thing, but never forget the established therapy. Yeah, we have 3 arms, really established therapy and good therapy. We don't know enough about long-term effects and side effects. And there are, and hopefully you understand, there are further promising ideas. And therefore, I like to thank for the attention. This is my small but very excellent team out of Hamburg saying hello to you. And now I'm open for questions, and there might be questions. Thanks a lot. And I am a 1 minute 55 before the after.
Well done. Well done.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for getting straight to the point.